We got David, we got Diego in the house. Thanks for joining, guys. Here we go. We're gonna start it over now. What's going on? Ho, ho, ho. Uh-oh. We didn't even come up with the rhymes yet. I have to freestyle it.
What's going on?
Hey, 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 I'm talking to you. What's going on?
Wanna hear you
Talk with me too. What's going on? Something's going wrong. What's going on?
What's going on? It's time we fight for each other.
Fight for each other.
Tell me where you've been.
Where you been?
You're my brother and I wonder what's going on.
What's going on?
I see you fight for this country.
I fight for the
I see
country.
you fighting for humanity.
Humanity.
See you trying to fight for you and me.
Yeah.
What's going on?
What's going on?
What the hell's going on?
Maybe Mike and Craig know.
Oh, no.
I don't know. Power corrupts.
What's going on?
Daenerys was doing some wild stuff.
What's going on? Something's gone wrong.
The Khaleesi.
What's going on?
Ooh, what's going on?
Right.
Hey, hey. All right, all right, all right. What's going on, everybody?
Good rhymes. Good rhymes.
What's good? What's good? We see you guys in the chat. All right, so
Game of Thrones was a little effed up last night.
that was pretty wild. It was
Cersi.
definitely the most wildest episode. You know, it was very
Wow.
disheartening to see that massive destruction.
Heart-wrenching.
Man.
How much more can we take?
hmm
Wow.
That's what happens when you give the Dragon Queen too much power.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they always start off with good intentions. Oh, we're gonna save the world. Next thing you know, you're burning down a whole city.
Millions. Oh, at least 1 million people there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she definitely had some mental issues, and mix that with power, unlimited dragon fire. You know, it's a
Very
bad thing.
dangerous.
It's a bad thing. So the topic of tonight's episode is power,
Power corrupts.
toxic masculinity.
Mhm.
Bry's idea, I think, right? Yeah. What else? And we're gonna talk a little bit about 50 Cent's 50 Laws of Power. Just because, you know, it's pretty cool. Even though we both haven't read the book, but he's got some cool tips and whatnot. So what's going on tonight, guys? What's going on tonight? Let's see. So what is power to you?
Power is the ability to do something, to get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a matter of position. You can have a powerful position in life where you can do the job.
Yeah, it's basically the power to do whatever you want, you know, unlimited power, you know.
Well, some people have maybe the ability to lead, but they don't have the opportunity to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You could be the most strong person in the world, but if you're not given the opportunity, you're not going to get much done.
Yeah, that's true. What would you do if you ruled the world?
What would I do if I ruled the world?
Yeah,
I didn't prepare for that question.
I don't know. I think it'd be cool to hook up everybody with some kind of shelter, you know. And if I really did rule, I'd be able to figure it out, you know.
Everybody having a nice their own little
Place
space.
to live, you know. Yeah,
Yeah.
a little space to live and like raise a family and everything.
I would want everybody to have healthcare, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, you know, it ends up becoming the socialist ideal, you know. But in reality, it doesn't tend to work out that way. And, like, it's always the pipe dream. Like, oh, give us the power and we'll save the world, you know. Same thing like with Khaleesi. Give me the power and I'll make it right for everybody. But then a couple things go wrong. Something gets messed up here. You get different challenges. And then all of a sudden you're burning down cities and saying, okay, this generation's screwed, but the next generation will live free. You know, there's always a justification. You know, it's good to have the good intentions, but like I say in the song, they say the road to hell is lined with good intentions. Insta fame, Snap Bond, Facebook mentions, Logan Paul, that poppy viewer retentions. Our perceived needs lead to these inventions. We've forgotten who we were, looking back at a blur. Who built the pyramids? Who terraformed the earth? I know that you know, look deep in your soul. We've been here before. I know that you know that we're more than physicalities. Question is reality. Awaken to the fallacies streamed into our galaxies. BuzzFeed, Fox, MSNBC, CNN are trying to divide us from family and friends. That mix of race baiting and flagrant fake statements keeps today's generations enslaved to the matrix. And we're gonna break it.
Right.
Woo. Hey, Pat just joined. What's good? What's good? So we got Cousin Joe in the house, Sebastian Gagliano, Craig Alvarez, Michael Thomas. Got a full house tonight.
All right. So what's the Matrix, Chris? We're enslaved to the Matrix?
Matrix.
How about entertainment? Being caught up too much entertainment, violence,
and whoever's programming the Matrix is programming most of us, you know?
You know, I heard there's crazy studies with young people watching too much violence. So you definitely watch too much violence. Actually, when the young people are watching the violence, they're more likely to have sex before marriage. When they're, for some reason, something's like I think there's a connection with the bloodlust and the actual lust. You know.
Wow, interesting.
You know, violent video games you think of. Yeah, I think there's some programming going on in societies which is not the best for us. So that's, I guess, part of the Matrix, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And it's kind of keeping us enslaved, and I guess a lot of things about power, we can lose the powerful positions on our own if we don't, move forward in the right directions in life.
What do you mean by that? Lose the powerful positions, like
if we
like America as a powerful country or something, or
well, wherever we take our focus, right, our life will go. Right,
that's true. Yeah,
as a nation, yeah, but also as an individual.
Yeah, that's pretty true. I feel like Trump gets like sidetracked with certain things, but I think it's ginned up by the media and the globalists and all this stuff. Let's see. So, who in society and what organizations and what people do you feel have like the most power, that are like masters of the universe and masters of our matrix?
Definitely Zuckerberg.
Mr. Mark of the Beast
here right now,
calling us dumb effers. Did you hear that?
No.
Yeah, he called us dumb effers back in 2005. He was doing a text message with somebody from Harvard. And he's like, if you need any information about anybody from Harvard, I got you. Just let me know their name. I'll give you all their information. And they're like, whoa, you can really get that? And they're like, yeah, these people give me all their information. They're dumb Fs. So we got Mark Zuckerberg. That's one of them. Who else you got?
Bezos.
Mr. Amazon.
He's in charge of Google. How about that one?
Sandor. Some like Indian guy.
Okay.
Sandor or something. And then it's Google and YouTube are the same thing. But Susan Wojcicki is the CEO of YouTube. And YouTube hurt me pretty bad when I lost my account. Right. 3,000 subscribers.
These people deciding who can
speak and who can't.
Speak and who can't. It's very, very powerful stuff.
Yeah, it's basically what kind of political views are you allowed to have? That's what it comes down to nowadays.
There is a lot of good that has come with the internet. I call it a lot of its democratization of the society, because even the smallest person can write a review about a business
if it's uncontrolled and suppressed.
If they were treated unfairly, their voice is heard like never before in history.
Yeah, but now Google has basically become the CNN search engine.
Say that again.
Google has become the CNN search engine.
Meaning they're
only showing the CNN, Washington Post, New York Times, like the authoritative sources when you search for stuff. Back in the day, it had the whole range of everything. When you typed in Clinton body count, it would actually show the website that had the Clinton body count on it, and all the pages about it. Now it's just Snopes and the fact checkers and debunkers saying, no, well, a lot of people surrounding the Clintons died, but they didn't really do it because this cat lady said they didn't do it. type of thing. False. You know what I mean? But like back then, you could go to their websites and see all the evidence, and a lot of things are being censored and suppressed. And now you can't even it used to automatically fill it in, and now you can't even see it.
So should Facebook be broken up? Should Google be broken up? How do you do that?
Well, today, the Supreme Court did some big ruling against Apple. Apple's been big on suppressing content and only allowing your app if you go along with the mainstream science, like the establishment science, like natural news. They were quoting NASA about how CO2 is actually greening the earth and helping make the earth a better place.
Okay.
And that was from NASA research, and they're not, that goes against the establishment science of CO2 is destroying the planet and whatnot. And basically anything that goes against the mainstream, you can't put on Apple right now. You can't have an app. You can't have, you can't have a news organization.
Okay, so what did the ruling say?
The ruling allows a bunch of lawsuits to go forward. Now, like the InfoWars lawsuit against Apple, because he had like 40 million listeners off Apple iTunes for podcasts. 40 million customers basically listening to his podcast off Apple.
Right.
And then the app and everything was taken away back during the purge, like a year and a half ago or so, 2 summers ago.
Okay, so there's no decision yet.
They're basically allowing the lawsuits to go forward.
Okay.
They gave them the okay. Like, okay, you guys are good. You could sue. They could have just thrown it out and say, no, they're a private company. Boom. You got nothing. You got no say. But the Supreme Court allowed them to fight back, and now they're suing. And a lot of organizations that got booted off of Apple iTunes is a big platform. It's like the same as Google Play. If you have a phone, you either have an Apple or a Samsung, and you're getting your apps off of the App Store. You have an Apple. Yeah, so you got it.
Yeah.
But you can't download the Alex Jones app. You can't download Natural News app. You can't get stuff that you might want to check out. Hopefully these lawsuits will end up allowing alternative views to get back on the platform. Otherwise, we'll be just stuck with the CNN side of the story all the time. At the end of the day, basically the corporate news network, and we can't stand for that. So what else? So we talked a little bit about Amazon, but how are they massive?
Amazon, we know that they sell basically every product almost, right?
Yeah, and Amazons have been putting Walmarts out of business nowadays. Walmarts came in 10, 20 years ago, put all the local businesses out of business. But now Amazon is putting the Walmarts out of business.
Right, they sell a lot of, Walmart sells produce, Amazon sells produce now because they attain Whole Foods. But now I think there's something going on in the news about maybe disallowing Amazon to have Whole Foods. Because they're getting too much control.
Oh yeah, they're conglomerating everything. Yeah. Amazon's even they got so much money, they're blowing their money on space exploration now. They're blowing NASA's budget out the water. Blowing up money. It was when I was hustling on Amazon and selling products through FBA and stuff. Amazon was getting at least $1 off of every single item I sold. And that on top of the $40 a month I was paying to be part of a program, and $15 a month for Amazon Prime. They're just raking it in, and it's a monster. And I heard that they're actually getting robots like to pack and everything and ship, and they're cutting back on their workforce more and more. And before you know it, it's all going to be robots. Robots are taking over everything. And so that's robots putting Walmarts out of business. And the Walmarts put the local mom and pop shops out of business. So
crazy.
Wild times ahead. Wow. So we got some stuff about Amazon.
How about Facebook? One of the co-founders saying that it should be broken up.
Definitely.
Zuckerberg's abused his privileges. He used the data without asking people. Right?
And Facebook, they're actually meeting with international governments, like Germany, I think, possibly France, New Zealand, Canada, I believe. I'm pretty sure. But a whole bunch of anti-free speech countries, countries where free speech isn't free. And they're actually meeting with them, and they want to put governments as like governmental boards over the individual countries' Facebook accounts, so that the governments can be involved in censoring the speech and not Facebook itself.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think I talked about this before, where the Mark Zuckerberg said that he wanted to have the government, the U.S. government, make regulations for social media.
Supposedly,
companies. However,
supposedly the U.S. didn't do it.
However,
free speech purposes, but
there might be other platforms that don't have the deep pockets that Facebook has to be able to provide for all these regulations that they have to deal with. So that in that way,
crush
they would still
remaining competition.
Crush, and becoming a monopoly.
It's true.
And that doesn't seem cool either. But it does seem right that the people should have a say in some sort of organized way of how we're going to regulate hate speech. No?
The who?
People should have a say in how we're going to regulate.
Which people are going to regulate speech?
I don't have that figured out.
Do you know who recently bragged about working with Facebook to ban a bunch of accounts? Hillary Clinton's publicity director. Bragging about getting people that were exposing the Clintons booted off of Facebook. It's crazy stuff. So we can't just say, "Hey, oh yeah, we'll give the Southern Poverty Law Center free range to ban whoever they want," or
do you like Facebook having the board of Facebook deciding all these things? Because
they have to have like straight up rules, like, hey, if you say kill this guy, then you need to be banned. Boom. If you preach killing anybody, then you're banned.
Okay.
Stuff like that. Basic rules that everybody has to abide by.
Yeah.
Not just conservatives only. Leftists post death threats all the time, and they still have their accounts freely. People speak out about, hey, abortion is not good for women and blah blah blah, and that's hate speech. You know what I mean? It's like,
is it considered on Facebook like that?
That post that Ted Cruz was talking about got censored, and it's crazy.
Abortion being violent to women. I think you should play that video with the guy.
Which one?
The guy talking to AOC.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Let's see, YouTube. Yeah, because that's like somebody with good intentions. Oh, I don't want anybody spreading hate speech. But what about her friend Imam Omar? Speaking a lot of negativity against the Jewish people in Israel. That is considered hate speech. Speaking out against Israel is considered hate speech. And we need that right to be free to speak out against Trump, speak out against Israel, speak out against Russia, whatever you want to do. The table is going to turn, and before you know it, if you speak out against Russia, that'll be hate speech.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know what I mean? That's hate speech is nonsense. That's not a real thing. If you're preaching violence, then that's a different story, and you're telling people to go directly kill somebody. That's a different story. But like Trump tweeting out a tweet that Imam Omar, some words that she said, and then Ocasio-Cortez says that because Trump tweeted that, he is inciting violence against Ilhan Omar, And so basically Trump should be banned from social media for inciting violence, because that's illegal. You can't incite violence. That's not the same thing as free speech. But if you're giving information about the Clintons doing something bad, and somebody says, oh man, I don't like those Clintons are terrible, somebody should do something about them. Just because you gave that information and somebody else is acting upon it or wants to act upon it, doesn't mean that you need to be banned for telling the truth. Right. They want to ban people for just telling the truth, because the truth is powerful.
The truth is powerful. I was going to say that knowledge is power.
Yeah, let's see.
Knowledge is power. We don't want to penalize people for sharing power. Right?
Yeah. I think they may have deleted it. Town hall. Wow. Not available. Google is becoming the CNN search engine. So we got We got Google, Amazon. How about Big Pharma? They're very powerful.
Lobbyists, right? There's 2 of them for every 1 lawmaker in DC.
Yeah. Right, and a lot of people are saying prescription drugs are still way too high, compared to other countries. Other countries like generic drugs or the same exact things could be, a quarter of the price, half the price. What about mandating medications and mandating vaccinations? What happened to my body, my choice? If I don't want something injected into my bloodstream, I should have a choice.
Medication? What's a mandated?
Vaccine. Vaccine.
I know in New York State there are a number of vaccines that are mandated. It's part of the law. And
that's not right.
It goes into a registry in New York. So every healthcare practitioner has to share the information, share the medical information of each participant, regardless of whether or not they want that, to this registry, which can be checked by other healthcare professionals. Of course, they do it because they want, outside of the common good, they consider it. And it's preventing the spread of these horrible diseases. And yes, there are a number of
you can't force me to get something injected into my body
unless it's a religious exemption.
No, you can't. You just can't do that
in order to go into public places.
That's not allowed. That's not okay. Because what if I'm allergic to what's in that vaccine?
I would just call it a religious exemption.
If I'm a little kid, I have no idea about no religious exemptions. It's not right. It's not okay. And the fact that they're trying to do that is no good at all. But wow, I can't find that video. It's probably the same town hall. It looks like it. But it's a 2-hour long video right there.
In my job, they make us check. And they say you have to refer them to a doctor. Every 6 months we have to check for their vaccines. And if they don't have their vaccination report, they have to be referred to the doctor to bring it next time. It's very strict.
Yes.
New York is very hardcore, I can tell you that.
Very unfortunate.
Well, it has a purpose too.
Supposedly. Just like, the Khaleesi had a purpose. Not always for the best.
I don't think you're going to find it.
Oh, man. They really are becoming the CNN search engine. They don't want us to show you. All right. Who else has a lot of power? The Hollywood.
Yes, definitely.
Hollywood is huge.
The power of the motion picture. Very powerful.
And it's a lot different than the way it was back in the day, Like back then, every TV show had like a positive message, and they were teaching good lessons. But this is about the golden age of TV versus Fox's Lucifer.
Satanist Anton LaVey, he was founder of the Church of Satan.
Yeah.
And here's what he said about television in his book, The Devil's Notebook, published in 1992. TV's infiltration has been so gradual, so complete that no one even noticed. People don't need to go to church anymore to get their morality plays on television. What began modestly as rabbit ears on the tops of family TV sets are now satellite dishes and antennas pridefully dominating the skyline, replacing crosses on tops of churches, end quote. Anton LaVey, founder of the Church of Satan. So this was by design.
Versus Lucifer. Chapter 8, the real reason there was a golden age of television. And here's an image of one of my favorite shows as a kid, Leave It to Beaver.
A lot more wholesome stuff back in the day.
I did watch the reruns. And such great TV shows back then. Let's talk about the golden age of television. Because
so I'd be like white supremacist or some not as diverse as it should be and whatnot. They'd be like protesting against these shows nowadays.
Because what we see today is the New World Order age of television with shows like Lucifer and the Santa Clarita Diet about cannibalism on Netflix. I mean, the shows these days.
And like 13 Reasons Why, like a lot of teens are committing suicide after watching these Netflix shows. It's really, really bad programming.
So what's the best way to confront it?
Speaking out about it,
and voting with their
people
eyes.
gotta know. People gotta know it hasn't always been like this, you know. And what voting?
Yeah, voting with their eyes. So if you think something's wrong, boycott it.
That's true. Yeah.
I boycotted Game of Thrones for a long time. It was not easy, but I did.
Yeah. Yeah. You think it's gonna be a
Unfortunately,
depressing
I came
ending?
back.
I mean, it's already kind of depressing. Do you think the ending's gonna be depressing?
I've heard that it's going to be a Stark on the Iron Throne.
Okay. Sounds.
I guess
right.
a lot of it's conjecture, so I don't really know.
What's your best guess?
Best guess?
Who's gonna be on the Iron Throne?
Right now, Daenerys is on the Iron Throne. She's on the Iron Throne.
Yeah, but nobody likes her, I bet, except for Grey Worm.
Right.
Who the heck's gonna want to follow her?
And
who does she have left to rule over?
I think Arya might lead in a rebellion with Jon Snow.
Yeah, I think Arya has a shot of possibly killing her. You know, the Dragon Queen. Maybe. Who knows? I don't know. It's all up in the air at this point. You know, could be Jon. It could be Arya. It could be Arya's baby. Maybe she's pregnant with that Baratheon guy. His kid. Maybe maybe Arya's
pregnant.
Maybe.
Why do you think she's pregnant? You don't say a woman's pregnant if you don't know that for sure. Okay?
That's rude.
I do want to talk about them some more because I think there's different ways of seeing strength in these characters.
Mm-hmm. Who?
All right. So, for example, Arya has great courage.
Mm-hmm.
She was about to go in there in the middle, you know, and go up to kill Cersi. She was willing to do that.
Man, it's so traumatic. That footage was so traumatic. Everything blowing up around them. You know, it was like she was in the middle of a million 9/11s. You know, a whole bunch of 9/11s happened all around her.
She was helping to save people. You know, in the middle of that.
She was trying. You know,
Jon Snow also doing the same thing.
He was trying to do the right thing, the honorable thing, but. He definitely made some bad choices.
Okay, so
he was fooled. He knew nothing.
Some people think loyalty is a good, redeeming, good quality, but what are you loyal to? That's a big question.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, you might be a faithful person, but you have to be faithful to the right cause, right? You know, the right person. And then Cersi and Daenerys. Cersi was a caring mother, good mother, but not a good mother. You know, she ended up putting herself in the situation where all her offspring were basically dead.
Yeah.
You know, she led Tommen to his death by killing his wife in the Sept when she blew that up. And she might have had good intentions for her children, but good intentions and good approaches are two different things. And then, of course, same thing with Daenerys. Her approach to bringing about a just world was not very pretty, very nasty in the last episode.
And you saw that scene when the bells were ringing, you know? Everything seemed like it was going to be peace. And maybe she was just going to see Cersi and maybe burn her and then everything would be good. But she was just letting the anger and the sadness and the power and just everything all at once collide into
her great advisor, was just killed on Sunday. Don't forget.
Yeah. And she was the one that said Dracarys.
Yes.
Oh,
mercy. This is it. They were ready to surrender. She had the city. They were surrendering. They were about to surrender.
I think she was just drunk off the power. You know, the rejection of Jon Snow. You know, Jon Snow basically rejected her. She's like, you know, maybe in her family, like, you know, inter-family relationships is a thing, but not so much in the North. You know.
Yeah, well, in her family also the madness that accompanies.
Yeah, they got that craziness going on.
Incest.
Yeah. Gonna ride my horse down the old King's Road. Ay. I was hoping that she just saw Cersi from a distance and just, you know, got her. I didn't really think she was gonna go full Mad King.
But this is, I guess, after she already just blew up a lot of it, no? Oh, no. She didn't blow it up yet. She didn't blow
Ring the bells!
She didn't kill any innocent people at this point yet, really.
Nah. She just took out all the ships, took out all the arrows,
oh my god,
took down all their defenses.
That power is something else.
And then now that they were defenseless, she went all out. She got that crazy look in her eye. So does Cersi. Which one would have been Hillary Clinton? No comment?
No comment.
Ay, ay, ay. There it is.
Who rang the bell?
Jamie, I believe.
It didn't show if he did.
He climbed he was climbing up those stairs and circling around, trying to get there. Oh man, John really tried to do the right thing, and then those King's Guards guys threw down their swords. Freaking Khaleesi. Didn't think she'd be the problem.
And just background for this. Cersi packed the city with all the people. She basically packed.
Yeah, what the heck's up with that? You know? Ooh, she's freaked out. Freaked out by the unbridled power between her legs.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's kind of like riding your demons or your dragon. You know, you gotta control your dragon.
Calm your groove.
You know, if you give in, you know, you can just burn everything up. It's not good. Not good. Need self-discipline. She just went all out. Jeez.
Those are the ships in the background.
Oh yeah, no! Wow.
I thought she was going for Cersi then.
That dragon is so huge. Just feel how heavy it is. He's like, no. Uh-oh. What have I done? See, he would have been the only one that had like a real chance to take her out before all this madness. You know, his brother was the Mad Kingslayer, you know? He killed her father, Jaime Lannister. Because maybe he did the right thing to save the country, you know?
Yeah.
Because her father was saying, burn them all, burn them all. And Jaime did the right thing, but he was disgraced, you know, in the media and whatnot for betraying his king.
Yeah, because he was part of the King's Guard.
Yeah. Wow. So.
So we know what happens. We know what happens from here.
Not everybody. We're gonna spoil it. We're gonna spoil it for y'all. Ah!
Oh my god.
Ay. It was crazy.
This is interesting scene.
Grey Worm don't care, man. He don't care. He just misses Missandei, I guess, and he's also drunk on power, I guess, too. I don't know.
He was following his queen's lead.
I guess so. But it was such very sad scenes. Jeez. Did they already drop their swords? They already heard it. Yeah, right?
Yeah, they already dropped.
But then once he saw Dynaris was burning everybody,
and they turned around.
No!
Even now, John tells him stop. Watch.
What's that?
John's gonna tell him to stop.
It's gonna try. It's not gonna work. Stop it!
They should have listened to him. If they listened to him, they would all be saved lives.
Mm-hmm. They could have evacuated.
Yeah.
They're like, what the heck are we doing here?
Shoot.
She's burning it all down anyway. But I guess they didn't realize it was all gonna burn.
And then John starts fighting because he's pulled into the drama.
Mm-hmm.
And he has to deal with all this crap. Oh, mercy. Alright, we're not gonna...
Whoa.
Yeah.
So intense.
Basically, the whole city goes down in flames.
So many innocent people, though. Great.
A lot of times, whether it's a man or a woman, if they gain power, they're going to make a mistake. Whether it's 1, 2, whether it's a horrible mistake. Normally, it will be a horrible mistake. If you have that much power and you make a mistake, you know?
Yeah.
It's very sad.
Mm-hmm.
This was a sad episode, definitely.
Uy, terrible. Yeah, people's throats getting slit.
I think
kids getting burned up in the alleys.
Right. Yep, yeah, that's
too much.
Too much. It should cause us to reflect. It should cause all politicians to reflect, self-reflect. So even if you think you have a big heart, you're being led by your heart, you're following, listening to your heart, it may not be the best thing.
Nah.
You know, Dynaris' heart was hurting there. You can see that.
She was also realizing everything that maybe her family had lost by her father being killed and whatnot, you know, and how they could have ruled. But her father was probably out of his mind, you know. What the heck?
Right.
Jamie had to do what he had to do.
She's
complicated, very complicated.
She had been through a lot too, Dynaris. Khal Drogo and Lord of Mercy.
Yeah.
To think of those shows being watched in the 50s by children, the shows they're making today, James, nobody would have ever dreamt would be even possible to broadcast in the 1950s and 60s. That's how far down the rabbit hole we've gone.
Can't put that on TV.
Let's talk about the real reason there was a golden age of television. More propaganda, I bet, huh?
Yeah. That was another thing that kind of mystified me. Yeah, it was the age of I Love Lucy, the Honeymooners in I Love Lucy. And I'm sorry, I think I'm repeating myself here, Leave It to Beaver. But it was an era that many people from my generation look back at nostalgically. And I imagine that some of our young listeners can't even relate in the least to those shows. But I was...
Yeah, like a lot of people that parents might have been working grew up on Nick at Night and stuff, you know. And, you know, it taught them some morals at least, you know, but... Now they got Game of Thrones and Sopranos and, you know, the type of stuff that probably kids today are probably watching the reruns of, you know.
Yeah, teaching them it's a cutthroat world, basically.
Yeah.
I was wondering why there was a golden age of television, and then I started to look at it and I realized what it was. One of the things that made that era great was the fact that shows were moral. You know, there was no cursing. There were no sex scenes. If there was any violence, it certainly wasn't graphic. And I finally realized that the reason for that was that they had to convince Americans to put televisions into their home. And if they had the content they had today, it never would have happened. I look back especially at the early 50s when, you know, people were just considering, should I really buy a TV set? And, you know, my wife, 2 or 3 years ago, she asked me what I wanted for Christmas. And I said, well, here's this... old drama series called Studio One from the late 40s, early 50s. Show it to me. And I was amazed, Sean, at how much Christian content, I mean openly Christian content there was in the early 50s. Ministers being positively portrayed, church bells ringing at the end of a show as a family would go off to church. And I watched an episode of a show called Harvest, which starred James Dean, who, as you know, was a tragic, young, very gifted actor. And in this episode called Harvest, James Dean, it's a totally Christian show. And when his grandfather dies, they play the Lord's Prayer, the song version. And at the end of the show, James Dean's father gives a very heartfelt prayer. And, you know,
it almost feels like it's not allowed on TV nowadays, you know, on network TV.
We do have great movies. Christian movies are getting better and better, guys. Really, really stay on the lookout for good Christian movies.
But they're not pumping them into people's houses on the network TV.
Breakthrough. There's a great movie out now, Breakthrough. Really
they're definitely
stuff.
making a comeback because people are craving what's good. You know, they want that good stuff.
Sean, how they used to introduce pop songs on television? You know, they'd make a debut on television.
Sure.
Well, you know what the very first pop song ever to be heard on television was as a debut? It was called I Believe by Frankie Lane, all about belief in God. And so television came across in the early days as this, wasn't all openly Christian, but it was very Christian, very moral. Every show, you know, Leave It to Beaver, there was always a moral lesson to be learned.
Yeah, and even like when we grew up, like a lot of the cartoons and stuff, like He-Man and G.I. Joe, you know, they tried to teach a positive lesson every time. You know, like G.I. Joe, now you know, and knowing is half the battle. And He-Man, in today's episode, He-Man did this to save these people from here. And you should always try to do the right thing. You know, there's a good positive message. But that's the gist of it. I'll fast forward maybe to the end. Yeah, they actually portrayed fathers as strong, good people instead of weak. I don't know. What's the word? What's the
weak?
Word?
Weak is the
weak
word.
And dumb dumb idiots. You know, which is like a lot of the fathers they show on TV. Yeah.
Griffith's show. Watch that with your children.
And how do you think they'd react to a show called Father Knows Best?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the patriarchy. The patriarchy. That's toxic masculinity.
Okay, we should talk about that.
What happened, Sean, was I noticed a big change take place in television content in 1963. All of a sudden, the reruns of
the 60s.
Father Knows Best were taken off, and Leave It to Beaver was stopped, and Toby Gillis. All of a sudden, you had this new era. Was mine.
Like the drugs got introduced by the CIA and whatnot in those times. LSD and this and that.
But you know, to boil the frog, right? They started tweaking the content in 1963, and the reason for that was in 1963, television had reached saturation point. They were in virtually
every home. See, once they're in every home, deploy the part 2 of the operation. It's like an operation on everybody's consciousness and mindset.
Almost over 90%. And at that point, they started to tweak the content. We had My Favorite Martian, which was about aliens, which we know are demonic, but it was a very cutesy alien. And you had Bewitched, which is a very cutesy witch. And
slow
Dream Genie,
introduction.
which is very cutesy magic. You boil the frog until you've got it today, boiling the frog to the point of total Satanism. And the American people never realized that a fast one had been pulled. The reason they had that Christian...
We got bamboozled. You know? Everybody put a TV in their home thinking they were going to get good quality programming. Programming. And it wasn't for the best. But all right, so you want to...
Did it corrupt man a little bit more?
Oh, yeah.
Is it possible that our idea of being a
every
man...
one of these new shows has to push the boundary even further and further and further.
But I'm saying, did it corrupt the idea of the masculine?
Definitely. That's why men are knocked down nowadays, you know.
But did it?
Because of what we see on TV.
But did it?
The father is the idiot. The father is the bonehead, the doofus, the butt of the joke. That's the father these days, portrayed on mainstream TV. Like 9 out of 10 shows. That's the way they do it. And it's all by design. It's all programming.
Like, yeah, so if man wants to be happy,
it's all to destroy the family. You know?
It's
all to destroy the family, mess it up.
Basically bow down to his wife's wishes if he wants, right? If he wants to be happy, right? So that was definitely a common theme, I would say, in most of the shows.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's definitely some truth to that, right?
Yeah.
You want to serve your wife.
Mm-hmm.
Christ is a humble servant,
Mm.
a humble leader,
Definitely.
right? So that's okay. We want to follow God as much as possible, and that way we know that's the right. God, Jesus was the best example of a man.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
That holy boldness is what we need, and sometimes it does require quieting yourself and not being so macho.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a man to be able to admit he was wrong, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love,
like,
I love Boy Meets World. That was a great show.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely one of the last good ones, you know.
Feeny.
Yeah, yeah. I can't think of too
He's a
many
good man.
bad things.
He's a good man.
Yeah, were there any bad messages through that much? Pretty quality family programming, I'd say.
Yeah.
You know? Like the good old days.
Feeny always had a lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep. Every episode, though? I don't know about every episode.
No.
Feeny did. Yeah. All right, so yeah, what do you want to talk about? Toxic masculinity.
Okay, so I think there is a problem with men today.
Mm-hmm.
Men can't express themselves like they should.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just today, but I think it's been for a long time, where man wants to appear strong, so they don't show everything that's going on, and that's been going on for a long time. I think, they put on a show. We put on a show that we're strong, where everything's okay.
Mm.
And when there's some issues that we're dealing with,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because we're not ready. We might not be ready to share. We might think that the people around us are not ready to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Men are not expected to be so vulnerable, or like we're expected to have a sense of humor, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe deal with more than what ladies might deal with in terms of insults, right? Because we do it to ourselves. Men, we insult each other.
Yeah, break each other's balls.
Break each other's balls. We wouldn't talk like that to a lady.
But try to toughen each other up. You got to be tough out there.
Right.
It's a rough world out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's some good to that,
Mm-hmm.
but then there's also another part to it where, if there's some growth that needs to happen, serious growth, those serious conversations might not take place because there's only joking around, or this toughness, focus on toughness,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can all be more mindful and whatnot.
Right.
Bring it back to the mindfulness.
Yes, mindful of our brothers' needs.
Mm-hmm.
And always reminding them, you're there for them.
Mm-hmm.
If they want to talk. Very important. Men, whether it's going on retreats, we need to find some sort of space where we can talk and have these deep conversations. It's very important.
Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, if you get a good, strong friend group or something, But most of the time, it's just breaking balls and making jokes and stuff.
So then maybe putting it in a context of like a retreat, getting your friends to go on a retreat with you would be awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
So there is, I think, a level of toxic masculinity. However, I think being masculine is a good thing.
Yeah.
Being masculine.
I mean, there's a masculine and a feminine. Right?
Right. And
Being
a physically strong man is an important thing. Just to be able to lift up the woman that you're with, I think that's a good thing. Honestly, you should be able to. Well, I guess everybody's different, but I think it's a good thing to be able to lift
I
up
think
your
there's a thing as toxic people.
women.
You know, if you're a toxic person, you're a deplorable person. You're terrible. You're not good. You know,
Right.
like Cersi. You know, she's pretty toxic. You know, but there's not really a term out there for toxic femininity, is there? You know, I think the toxic masculinity term is being used to like program
about-
young boys that
about-
hey, just because you have a lot of testosterone now and you know you're running around, that you're toxic, or you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more of a way to shame people into into a category of like, hey, you need to be shamed and whatnot. But you know, I think humans definitely have problems, and you know, we could all be better. You know, men and women.
Right. Yeah. There is a purpose to masculinity. God made the two sexes for a reason.
And just calling it toxic, you know, I mean, label, you know, it's kind of like all, you know, it's kind of like throwing the baby out with the bathwater type of thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like a label on like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of how to describe it, but like say like calling people like cisgender or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, I'm a guy, I'm a regular guy, you know.
Right.
Like putting that extra term there, it's like to like put you in a box,
right.
You know what I mean, and
right.
like to marginalize you or something, like marginalize people. And you know, we're just masculine. Some people are masculine, some people feminine. You know, the girls tend to be feminine, the guys tend to be masculine.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a regular thing, you know. But put the toxic label on it is, you know, I know, like people that beat their girlfriends, they're toxic, terrible people, and yeah, they might have too much testosterone or whatever, or
right.
they're crazy in the head,
right?
You know, and they do bad things, you know,
right?
Lock them away. But like just that term, you know, that term kind of irks me a little bit, just because there's not an other term of toxic femininity, you know, in the mainstream at least.
That's the B word.
There you go. There you go. So we got a B word for guys too, I guess. You know?
Yep.
You know, but I don't think that term is really necessary. Just because you know, I feel like the kids coming up, they get the wrong idea, you know, and they might not want to become men that leave it to Beaver Dad, or they might not want to be, you know, father knows best guy.
Yes.
Let me that labeling of toxic masculinity.
Let me talk to the youth, guys. We are supposed to be leaders.
Mm-hmm.
We're supposed to lead our families.
Oh yeah.
We're supposed to be bold. Okay. We're supposed to have courage. Mm-hmm. Stand up for what we believe in. Okay.
Yeah.
These things.
Stand your ground.
These things are good, and God ordained.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, women can be bold and stand up too. But I do believe that there is a structure in the family where man is head of the household.
We're a team, you know. The men and women are a team, you know.
Right.
Partnership.
And
equal partners, you know, you could say. You know?
Okay, so equal.
When you're married, you become one. You know, it's like
equality. It's true. You become one. That's right. And like I said, the scripture where it says, you know, man, you're the head of the household. Women, listen to your man.
Mm-hmm.
Submit to your man. That's followed by men, love your wives like Christ loved the church.
Mm.
How did he die? How did he love the church? He died for the church.
Mm-hmm.
He was willing to give up his life.
Yeah.
His life. So it's not that, you know, we're trying to say that men are better in any way.
Mm-hmm.
There's just differences.
Yeah.
You know. I could also talk about colleges now too. I wanted to talk about colleges.
Like toxic masculinity on colleges, or what?
Just the culture of how liberals, you know, the liberal culture is taking over,
mm-hmm.
and these old traditional values are not being promoted. You know?
Definitely, yeah.
Because that's definitely a problem in our society. people don't know the importance of these old-fashioned values.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and also we can go into socialism too, but that's kind of a different topic.
Mm-hmm.
But we're talking about power, right?
Yep.
So there's a difference between equity and equality, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so what am I saying? Equity means everybody has to have the same things. Equality is equality before the law and equality of opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, this is what I believe in, equality of opportunity.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So people have the opportunity to have the power. Like, you can give a wife the opportunity to make decisions for the family, right? And then she can have this equality of opportunity versus equity. Men and women don't have to have the same roles in a relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then also in society, that can be looked at also in terms of like socialism. In socialism, everybody has to have the same thing. Everybody, you know, in order to be equal, you have to have the same resources. But in current, you know, the old-fashioned way of looking at things, we have equality before law and equality of opportunity.
Yeah.
And people should have the equal opportunities, but they don't have to have the same resources all the time. You're not going to even appreciate your resources unless you work to get them, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That's true. But everybody likes getting something for free, too. Just putting it out there.
We like it, but that doesn't mean we're going to appreciate it as much as we had to work for it.
Yeah, it's true.
So the left is outraged about the backlash to the Me Too movement, simply because people are drawing a distinction between making sexual advances and actual sexual assault. So Aziz Ansari goes on a date with a woman. They go back to his apartment. She voluntarily gives him a blow and messages him the next day saying he ignored her non-verbal cues that she wasn't interested. Yeah, you were sending a pretty big non-verbal cue when you put his dick in. Ansari apologised and said he misread the situation. Is that sexual harassment? No. But now his career is forever tainted. Of course there's going to be a backlash to the Me Too movement. If women just start using it as a weapon to exact revenge and to advance their own victimhood status and careers.
Here's an unpopular opinion. I'm actually not at all concerned about innocent men losing their jobs over false sexual assault harassment allegations.
Of course there's going to be a backlash to the Me Too movement when you're obviously using it as a partisan tool to claim political scalps. By claiming someone asking for your phone number is sexual assault.
Is it true he asked for your phone number?
Yeah.
Newsflash.
See, like, this is what kids are coming up with, you know? And now they're afraid to ask girls out and stuff, you know?
Apologists like Meryl Streep and Harvey Weinstein's best buddy. It's being led by rapist paedophile apologists like Meryl Streep and Harvey Weinstein's best buddy, Oprah
There you go.
Winfrey.
There's some toxic masculinity right there.
Yes, definitely.
As I predicted months ago, the Me Too movement has been rolled into the left's wider war on men and masculinity. Nearly 25% of US millennial men think that asking a woman out for a drink is sexual harassment. 25%. If you really think that, then stop.
It's crazy.
That is crazy.
It's going to be a long, lonely life.
Sex is one of the most fascinating things in the world.
Men are saturated day in, day out with the idea that we should be ashamed of being men, that our very masculinity is toxic.
Toxic masculinity is killing everyone. Repeat. Toxic masculinity is killing everyone. Repeat. Toxic masculinity.
There you go. Toxic masculinity.
Is killing everyone. Repeat. We could go on.
But when you ask women, even women in California, whether they prefer typically masculine or effeminate men, there's no contest.
This is number.
Yeah, a lot of them are going for Islamic jihadis because they're very manly, even though they're murderous and out of their minds. Just because the Western
a lot
men
of them
aren't...
are going for the jihadis.
Yeah, a lot of them, yeah, because we got a lot of guys, you know, aren't stepping up.
Number one.
Okay.
This is number two. Which one do you prefer?
Number two.
Okay, one more time. This is number one.
Okay.
This is number two. Which one do you prefer?
Number two.
This is number one.
Okay.
This is number two. Which one do you prefer?
Number 2.
This is number 1. Number 2.
Gotta keep getting in that gym.
Number 2.
You can't shame men for being men, denigrate their natural impulse to chase women, conflate that with rape and sexual assault, then complain, where have all the real men gone? I mean, look at the damage that's already been done. A whole generation of skinny jeans wearers. What man in their right mind would naturally want to wear skinny jeans? Skinny jeans reduce sperm count. Your balls need room to breathe to properly produce sperm. That's why they dangle. They need to be away from the body to maintain a cooler temperature for ideal sperm production. Skinny jeans.
Baggy pants on the best.
We had it right in the 90s.
Yeah.
It also cause urinary tract infections because the pressure leads to an overactive bladder. They also cause twisted testicles. Where's the upside?
Ouch.
Why are you wearing them anyway? Because they're trendy. You're literally crushing your own balls to look like a soy boy. You look stupid.
The TV told me to wear them.
It's not worth it. Stop it. But forget skinny jeans. Fashion designers are now pushing female clothing as the next men's fashion trend. For their recent catwalk show, Undercover had these skeletons.
This is broadcasting into your TV. You know? Not Leave It to Beaver.
Soy boys parading around in maxi skirts. This fashion designer is portraying men as pigs and dogs. We're also bombarded with advertising lecturing us about how awful it is to be a man. Manspreading and mansplaining need to stop. Translation, how dare you have a penis and balls that require you to spread your legs to be comfortable when sitting down. Oh, and because of your gender and nothing else, you also need to shut the fuck up. Hashtag be better. They're now even equating manspreading with the Me Too movement and sexual assault. How many TV ads have you seen where the man is portrayed as a useless idiot?
It's just a burst pipe. I can fix it.
Yeah. Even Dad can do it. It's so simple, even Dad can do it. The heck? Ew. What the hell?
Petty crap.
What was that?
It's petty crap.
And my husband is,
She opened his drink.
You missed a spot.
Oh!
I got that job at the demolition company. Excuse me.
We don't have steak often, so when I got home from Walmart, I could tell what my husband was thinking. Steak. Is it her birthday? Our anniversary? Is it my birthday?
Seal.
Yeah.
Shake and let Oven Pride do its thing so he can do more.
Oven and barbecue.
Oven Pride. So easy, a man can do it.
Okay, maybe it was my fault.
She told me to kill the weeds.
And you did, along with the grass.
I used the wrong stuff.
Oh, there were dead spots everywhere.
That's making dinner. Oh, it'll be
I
fine.
think we get the point.
Commercials featuring only women to be banned.
For not being a misogynist.
I mean, we can't even enjoy historical war movies without feminists whining about how they're part of the grand patriarchal conspiracy. The New York Times can tweet, if you let boys be boys, they will murder their fathers and sleep with their mothers. Nobody really gives a damn, but Lewis Hamilton
Like New York Times is one of those authoritative sources at the top of Google searches.
says boys don't wear princess dresses.
Why did you ask for a princess dress for Christmas? Boys don't wear princess dresses!
And everyone loses their minds. He's witch hunted and forced to grovel and apologise. What, in God's name, is happening? At the lower levels, this is just do-good virtue signalling and outright man-hating by ugly feminists who can't get boyfriends. But beyond that, there's something more sinister taking place. A giant re-education campaign aimed at turning boys and young men into total pussies. Not only are we under chemical assault from plastic products and foods that lower testosterone, we're mass unwitting participants in a huge social engineering experiment based around vilifying masculinity and demoralizing men. And the Me Too movement has been co-opted to serve that agenda. What kind of warped scheme needs to dilute or destroy masculinity and traditional gender roles to succeed? One that seeks to completely annihilate the
But yeah, if you're in a toxic relationship, get out. Get out of that relationship.
Definitely.
And if somebody was abusing you, go to the police, get them arrested.
Fundamental structure of Western society.
Both men and women,
So the annihilators can completely remake it in their own image. This is about the pursuit of raw power. This is Marxism rebranded. Identity politics, the very ideology that belittles and denigrates men, particularly white men, is just a new form of an old Marxist trick. Divide and conquer. They think that by dragging down men, by neutering masculine competitive and risk-taking traits, they can create equality of outcome. They can create utopia. These postmodernists are so pathological, so deranged. They've convinced themselves that fundamental biological science is a grand conspiracy invented by the patriarchy.
That's the new Bill Nye for you. Not quite the way it was in the 90s.
Sex junk.
Much more than either.
And now they're going to convince everyone else by law,
male
by
or
force,
female, I'm
by
whatever I want it to
silencing
be.
dissent, and by mass indoctrination.
That's not really science,
They're literally rebelling against reality. They've declared war on logic. Gender and gender roles are not and never can be a social construct. Masculinity is not.
That's like, what the devil does. He wants to flip everything good and turn it upside down. It's like once we're fully in the upside down world, or the clown world, or whatever that's coming to pass sooner or later, then, it's no good.
A narrative that can be changed with enough brainwashing. It's an objective truth. You can't reverse hundreds of millions of years of evolutionary biology. Gender role stereotypes exist for a reason. They're how humanity survived and prospered.
Men and women won't sort themselves into the same categories if you leave them alone to do it of their own accord. I've already seen that in Scandinavia. It's 20 to 1 female nurses to male, something like that. It might not be quite that extreme, and approximately the same male engineers to female engineers. And that's a consequence of the free choice of men and women in the societies that have gone farther than any other societies to make gender equality the purpose of the law. Those are ineradicable differences. You can eradicate them with tremendous social pressure and tyranny, but if you leave men and women to make their own choices, you will not get equal outcome.
Men and women excel at different things. This is determined by hardwired biological differences and
it's in our brain.
What? Part of biological, like from our genes, from our DNA, from our ancestors, Our ancestors survived all these generations and we're here today,
You think?
And, it's like in our coding, in our DNA coding, a lot of this stuff.
Most men are meant to be protectors.
Like the devil wants to flip everything upside down and convince people that, what's in our DNA is not who we are and whatnot, What were you saying?
You think most men are meant to be protectors?
Yeah. Definitely.
And
women are very good protectors too, especially when protecting their kids.
Right. Right.
You'll see what Cersi will do.
Right. But maybe men can.
But men, are meant to protect the family. That's why they're there. That's why That's why men go off to war, to protect their family, to protect the wife and the kids. For the future generations.
Right. The
men are like the disposable guys.
We'll stand in front of.
We're supposed to. We're supposed to sacrifice ourselves for the kids and the women.
Right. But we shouldn't sacrifice our dignity.
No. Why? Nobody should.
Right. Like a
divergent character trait.
What?
Like a Homer Simpson character,
Mm-hmm.
Right. You can't change that by giving your baby boy a Barbie doll and sticking him in a dress. You're not changing these boys and men into better people. You're making them depressed, broken, and lonely. Stop it. All you're going to achieve is a generation of messed up, unhappy young men. Men already have suicide rates 5 times higher than women. Is that not enough for you people? We need to reject the collectivist
toxic masculinity. All those toxic men. Just kill yourself. That's the message. That's like the message, Oh, you're a man, you're toxic. Unless you wear a dress and you become a soy boy. Not in your toxic.
Because some men do evil things.
You know what I mean? That's basically the messaging.
Burden of evil. No. I'm an individual, as is the next man. I'm only responsible for my own actions. We need to create better role models for young men than vapid celebrities. We need to confidently reassert the true value and meaning of masculinity. Not one based around lad culture, boorishness, or any facsimile of masculinity, but one based around competency, responsibility, audacity, bravado, and just having the temerity to stand up and say no. I'm not ashamed to be a man.
Part of power is knowing when not to talk.
Definitely, yeah. And to, admit when you lost, live to fight another day.
Right.
But FYI, I have to say Paul Joseph Watson is a terrible person. Don't ever look for his videos on YouTube because Facebook has banned him, and I could be banned for playing his video unless I critique him and say he's a terrible person. That's the level of censorship and power that Mark Zuckerberg has over me. In order to play anything from Paul Joseph Watson, who we just saw, I have to condemn. Unfortunate. But that's why we're talking, hoping that we're able to keep getting our message out there. But we got to talk until, because if we don't stand up for other people, then we'll be the ones silenced, and shut down. We got to speak out. People don't speak out, then, like that Nazi thing. First they came for the communists. I didn't speak out because I wasn't a communist. Then they came for the socialists, and I didn't speak out. Then they came for the gypsies, and I didn't speak out because I wasn't a gypsy. Then they came for me.
The only one...
And there was nobody left.
The only one we bow down to is God. We don't bow down to Zuckerberg.
And there was nobody left to complain about me losing my YouTube account.
I complain to people. I tell people about my brother's.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. All right, so let's see.
He had 3,000 subscribers.
Now I was stuck at 112. I got one today. One was added today. Thank God. But subscribe to my Smiley Chris Raps YouTube channel if you get a chance. This video is going to be posted there and edited by tomorrow. So anything else you wanted to say? I'll just go through these things from the synopsis from the Power book that 50 Cent had. Anything else?
Well, I just want to emphasize that, being bold, being audacious, having bravado are good things. Also, being able to relate and be gentle and being able to talk with a lot of women and relate with a woman doesn't make you any less of a man. Being gentle and being able to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what you do with your girlfriend or wife,
Yeah.
Or just random people, we could all lend an ear and talk people through problems and stuff,
I think there's something
a shoulder to cry on.
To having a father involved with the children. And it's a good thing for our generation, have more involvement with fathers being involved with the children, and you're not being homo when you're being soft with your kids, or you have that ability to be soft with your girlfriend, or showing vulnerability can be very powerful, very powerful and courageous. Okay, so I just want to speak to all the men out there about that.
All right, so in 50 Cent's 50th Law of Power, it's basically be fearless, be fearless, and that's like the big thing, and that entails intense realism, seeing things the way they are and not the way you're imagine them in your head. Like you were saying, a lot of the stuff is our own imaginations acting wild on us. A lot of our fears and stuff,
right?
It is really just in our imagination and not out really there.
Worse than it is.
So you got to see it the way it is. Yeah. Self-reliance, controlling yourself and your surroundings, And Mark Zuckerberg is really trying to control and suppress us. Better not be calling him out so much. We're going to be cut off. Opportunism. Make the best out of every situation, That's a big one. Keep acquiring that power. Keep moving. Getting comfortable with change. You know, be comfortable changing. Don't stay in the same spot. You know.
Definitely.
Aggression. Overcoming fears of confronting people. Don't be afraid to stand your ground and say, "Hey, that ain't right." You know.
Yeah,
get out of here.
Definitely.
Gotta stand up.
Whether the person's older than you, doesn't matter. The Bible says when somebody's doing something wrong, you tell them one-on-one. And if they don't respond, then you take them in front of other people.
Yep.
But you gotta confront them. We need more of that. We need to be more of holding each other accountable in our world, or we wouldn't have so many problems.
And authority. Speak with authority, and set the tone. Set the tone for the topic, so know what you're talking about and whatnot. You know.
I think we could have done a better job of organizing.
What
tonight?
Yeah, it was always. We could always do better. You know.
Yeah.
We could always do better.
I think the tone of our song is just so laid back. But this is some real intense stuff.
Yeah. Connection's important. Listening to demand and creating supply. Mastery.
What is that last one? What?
Connection. Listening to the demand
and
creating the supply. You know, like 50 Cent, he was a hustler.
Right.
You know, gotta know what's going on, know what these people need, and
Nipsey. I know Nipsey. He sold his CD because when he was just starting out, he only produced a few of them, and he was able to sell them like 1,000 a piece.
$1,000
Wow. Yeah, because it was such a limited supply.
Wow, that's wild.
He was able to create that demand.
You know? Yeah. He had that connection. Mastery. Learning to endure hours of patience and drudgery.
It's true.
Yeah.
For mastery, you gotta do a lot of practice.
Sometimes it might feel boring and whatnot, but you got to have that inner game to overcome the boredom.
Develop that confidence.
Yeah, and like the stick to itness. You gotta be able to stick to it, because you might get tired of repeating the same thing. But if that's what's working for you and that's what you got to do to get to the next level, you got to stick with it, otherwise you'll quit and back out. Like, I know he was talking about, like dealing on the corners, he would get bored, you know.
This is teaching you how to be a good drug dealer.
He set his plan though, like a lot of the guys that he knew, they wanted to make the quick money, you know. And that meant like robbing convenience stores and things like that. And he never got involved with that. He just had that where people come to you, and you have to wait till somebody comes for something, and you give them what they want, basically, So he had to overcome that boredom with a strong inner game. And that he planned his future rap career, and how he was going to save enough money so that he could get into the studio and blah, 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 and shop his. And then he came across Eminem.
We gotta have a game plan.
After getting rejected and after getting shot, he got shot in the streets and whatnot. It's a wild story, but I didn't really listen to the whole thing yet. So
I guess he took his life more serious after he got shot.
No, he had that. He had that from before. Yeah, he always had that thing he was gonna succeed, but once he got shot, a lot of the record companies told him, "Oh, we gotta back up. You have to chill out for at least 2 years. You're too hot right now. You're too controversial." But Dr. Dre and Eminem, they don't care about controversy. So he was a perfect fit with those guys. I got two more. Self-belief in overcoming fear of failure, and knowing who you are. So that's that self-belief. Yeah, know who you are. A lot of people, I feel like, forgotten who they were. I'm not saying 50 Cent is the ideal person to look up to or be like.
Definitely not.
He's definitely got some toxic masculinity elements to him, I must say. But I don't know how he is these days. He might have turned his life around. Who knows? Everybody could turn it around.
This culture of girls, glamour, that is not cool.
Yeah, he was pretty hardcore. He was part of that, extreme stuff,
Yeah, drunkenness. This is not being a man, guys. this is the toxic masculinity of those gangster.
But like
rap
while he was rapping
rappers.
about popping bottles and in the club, he wasn't really doing that stuff. He
Mhm.
was actually working and producing and this and that.
Right.
But he was putting out that image that he's definitely putting that image out there, not being the best influence on the generations and whatnot. But he was putting that hustle in behind the scenes. All right, and the sublime is the last one, and that's confronting your mortality. And basically that means like realizing we have limited time on this earth, and every day passes that we're not working towards achieving our dreams is like a waste, and we got to realize that, that the clock's ticking, and before you know it, our life's going to be passed by, so
Right.
if we don't step up and keep working towards our goals, it's not going to be a good thing.
What is the ultimate goal? It's to get to heaven,
Mhm.
right? We have an everlasting soul that we got to take care of while we're here,
Mhm.
and it's also to bring other people with you.
Mm.
That's a true man. He's
Mhm.
gonna lead his family in a way that's gonna lead them to God.
Yeah, definitely.
So you can't just hustle no matter what, and say, okay, I'm providing for my family, so that makes me a man. No, you're not saying. If you're not setting a good example,
Mm-hmm.
you're not being a good man.
Mm.
You can't sacrifice your values just to get money, and say, oh, that's all right, I'm doing something good with the money.
Mm-hmm.
You have to set the right example. What we do echoes in eternity.
Yep, that's true.
And the way we go about things is as important as the end result too.
Mm-hmm. With that, you ready for the song?
Yes,
You
sir.
got it? Yeah, cool.
Troubled mind, self-restriction. I will overcome. I will break my tendency of hesitation. Get the job done. Pick up the phone. Dial the number. Around the room in the rain. No other can make her dreams a reality. I'll protect the girl and she'll care for me.
I am gonna
That's
act.
how it's gonna be.
Hold me back. Do it all my way. Today's my day.
I'm gonna act.
Hey.
And you can't hold me back.
Hey.
I'll do it all God's way, and I thank you, God. Today's my day. I am gonna act.
Hey.
You can't hold me back.
Hey.
I'll do it all God's way, and I thank you, God.
Here we go, here we go. 24/7, 365. Resist Trump stays on my mind. I get it. Alright, I admit it. Trump isn't a Nazi, but he might be a bigot. He doesn't want open borders. He's pro-law and order, hates Antifa, ISIS, and ISIS supporters. He thinks there's two genders, and that's too offensive. Let's blow up the White House and knock down border fences. Impeach 45 if we are to survive 2020's election. Our party might die if the economy's great. We ain't divided by hate. Our side won't stand a chance. How could we even debate the simple laws that our side wants? Criminalize all guns, abort kids to 10 months, and Trump's trying to stop us. So stand up, stand strong, put your pussy cap on. It's been Make America Great into a symbol of hate. Woo! I am gonna act. You can't hold me back. Do it all God's way, and I thank you, God. Today's my day.
I'm gonna act. Can't hold me back. I'll do it all God's way, and I thank you,
Today's my day.
Yo, people always talking chit-chatting away.
Hey.
No matter where you go, they got something to say.
Hey.
It's better to be silent and considered a fool than to speak and remove all doubt about you. See, the problem with the guy who talks too quick is that he always says something when he doesn't think.
Hey.
And people don't follow the advice they give. Hypocrites,
how do you live?
Say one thing like you know it all.
Hey.
Preaching to me when I know you're false.
Hey.
Use the phone, hold your peace.
Hey.
Shut your mouth and leave me be. Cause
Yeah.
people in the know, we got the truth. And when we speak, we got nothing to lose. So move, don't make me tell you again. Move, I got a message to sing. Cause
I am gonna act. You can't hold me back.
Do it all God's way,
Hey.
and I thank you, God.
Let's see, I got
Today's
another
my
verse.
day.
Hey, today's my day. Today's my day. Here we go. Here we go. Yo, I love everyone who hates me. Still, it kills me that you feel that way. But I'm walking away from slavery. 'Cause today is my day. See, time is an illusion. So today, let's make our nation great. And love is the solution to society's prevailing hate. Hey, so I am gonna act. Y'all can't hold me back. I do it all God's way, and I thank you, God. Today's my day.
Do it all God's way, and I thank you, God.
Today's my day. Woo! All right. We did it. Power. May the power be with you. By the power of Grayskull.
The mega power.
Hey. All
All
right.
right.
Have a good night, bro. Ooh. Stay good.
Follow God, everybody.
Hey, I'm Smiley Chris. I'm a Ron Paul supporter from Freeport, New York, and I'm a fighter. There's just no stopping the economic profit. Credibility's key, and Ron Paul's got it. True. Driven by a cause, sick of all the wars, tired of the lies. He's rising up because he's a fighter. Bam! No call is greater, like a Jedi master. He's a master debater, not afraid to be laughed at or called an old loon or banned from the news just for telling the truth. The RNC's scared, dude. Look at the proof. Ron Paul's the only candidate for the troops, and that's why they're marching on the convention. And Paul Festival's getting all this attention. Obama is nervous, Ron is on purpose, working each day to reverse their curses. It's been Paul versus their corrupt system. Thanks a lot, Doc. Go out and get him. Yeah. Free humanity, stand up and fight. Stop them all, Dr. Paul. I'll take all the pain, all the heartache, all the heartbreak. Fight goes on. Don't give up, don't give out, don't give in. Here comes the fighter. That's what they say to me. This means war. Ron Paul, the fighter who will lead the final revolution, full of people who will bleed and die for a reason. Cry out treason when and wherever they see it. Liberty is victory, resistance our mission. Free humanity is the essence of our vision. Yes. Make the decision, tell who you know. An elite cartel is controlling the globe. Now we're at a precipice, about to enter an abyss of debt from derivatives, stimulus and military spending, bank run healthcare, fascist bailouts and corporate welfare. We gotta stop it, yo. There's no turning back now. Stab me in the back, I'll still attack. Through all the pain, the heartache, and the heartbreak, fight goes on. Oh, it's never ending, man. Won't stop till I drop.
listen up, listen up, listen up. Be conscious of the kind of thoughts that occupy your mind. Try focusing on thoughts of love aligned with the divine. That doesn't mean to go around like everything is fine, but worrying and wondering is such a waste of time. True. Some things you can't control, others you gotta hold up. Stay focused on your goals, don't let the fear control you. Remember what I told you, don't be afraid to try. This life is but a moment, your soul will never die. Wow. Just keep fighting that good fight, man. What we do now echoes in eternity. To my friends in the movement, keep doing what you're doing. Never forget, liberty or death. Don't give up, don't give out, don't give in. Liberty ain't dead yet, despite the death threats. And we're in it to win it, and we're fully committed. We got this, yo. 2012 is our year. We are the revolution, fighting for our constitution. You and I hold the solution to unveil their grand illusion. So let's do it.